I'm Ashley. I am the track host for today. I'm very excited to welcome Sargis to our stage from Armenia. Welcome, Sargis. Looking forward to hearing all about scaling our test architecture. And I hope you all enjoy, and we'll get to the break after a round of questions. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for introduction, and welcome to the only advanced topic in the conference. So I was, minutes ago, I was reviewing the agenda, and I saw that this was the only advanced. And I'm happy to see so many people in the advanced topic. So my name is Sargis. I'm in the industry more than already 17 years. And we just realized that my first Selenium conference was 10 years ago in India, but I don't feel that it was 10 years ago. It was yesterday. Let's pretend that it was yesterday at least. Today we're going to talk about how we can design the test architecture that can scale easily whenever we need, and how we can design efficient architecture to run parallel, independent, isolated tests. Before going to the problem and starting the talk, I would like to address the elephant in the room. Some of you would come up with a question why we need to talk about the architectural stuff whenever AI is generating the code and is doing better and better day by day. So first of all, AI is following you. If you will be efficient as a lead, it will generate better code for you. If you say the AI just generate a test, it will generate something, but not scalable. If you know the background, if you have the knowledge of the patterns of the architecture, you can guide the AI to build efficient framework for you, which will be not only efficient framework, but it will be also token efficient. So you will be burning less tokens, getting the same result if you know what you want to get from the AI. And the last one is human review is still needed, because the AI can sometimes get somewhere that we don't want him to get, and especially with the God page objects, scrapped weights, primitive objectives. So sometimes we need and also a review and to see what AI actually did. So taking this, let's move to an agenda and see what we are going to do today. Of course, we will talk about the problem, why we actually need it. Before getting to the patterns and the architectures, we will review the new features from Selenium 4 just to make sure that we have in the table all the functionality and we can do an advanced implementation. We will start from the loadable component. Have you ever heard about it? Loadable component? Like 2, 3? Oh. Few of you, yeah. This is my favorite part, like functionality from the Selenium library, which I think underrated. And I'm keeping talking about it for loyears, trying to promote it a bit, but still I don't see very widely usage of the loadable component. But I heard a lot about some after waits for other tools. Whenever you have a possibility to wait for your pages built in the Selenium, you just need to implement it. So of course the page object model, this is like for everyone, like everybody was doing it, we know, but we will touch slightly to make sure that we connect all these pieces to each other to have efficient one. The domain-driven design, have you ever done it? Just trying to replicate your business language to your code, so you will read your test like a user story. Which is good to have, but not that technically mandatory. And of course, some architectural practice, what to do, what not to do, etc. in the end. So let's start from the problem. we're always facing a problem whenever we are dealing with UI tests. I wouldn't say only Selenium, because all the UI automation tools have the same problems. And all these patterns and the techniques can be used in other tools also. This is the examples only in Selenium for today. So we are having a flaky test a lot. Like whenever there is a JS-heavy stuff, we can have flakiness. The test is passing once, it's failing on CI, the story that everybody knows. The brittle code, whenever the locators are like brittle and they are spread it from like over the framework, and tests are becoming brittle whenever something change in the locators, like 1,000 tests are failing because of not designed architecture. And the hard to scale, and whenever we're copying and pasting the piece of the codes over and over and over and over, then we are ending up with a monster which later hard to maintain. Generally, why we are having these issues? I'm always keeping saying that because we are not treating the test automation code as a production code. We are not taking it as a development, but we should. We should treat the automation code as a production code with all the discipline that we are using for the productions. Patterns, code review, merging strategy, all these disciplines should be applied to the automation also to make sure that we are keeping on track everything and we are not creating more garbage than the working code. This is my suggestion. Always take it seriously, and all of us who are doing the automation, we are doing the development, and we should get into the discipline of the development. Beside of this, let's see how we can handle some of these cases. So this is a typical case that is like very, very brittle code because it does some actions, it doesn't wait for anything, it's just use the hard-coded selectors, and there is zero abstraction. This is the code that we should never write. And of course, like this is the Java example, but it's true for all the languages. Yeah. So let's try to modify the case to get a better state. How we can make exactly the same case better using the patterns, architectures, and all the features provided from the Selenium. Before getting to the patterns, let's very briefly review what we have in the Selenium 4. W3C, so it's consistent behavior through all the browsers. Like nice feature introduced recently is relative locators, which means that whenever we need, we can check that the locator is above, below, on the right or the left to another locator, which makes us more flexible to find and also make sure that the order of the fields are correct. Selenium Manager can automatically handle all the driver stuff. No more downloading drivers, placing, giving the paths. Chrome DevTools giving a lot of opportunity to get access to the network performance data, which will give more opportunity for us to cover. Enhanced weights with the duration API in the Java at least, so it's more readable, it's more intuitive. And of course the driver BiDi, which is in a preview, but which is bidimensional communication for real events, which will make a dramatic change whenever it's finally ready for use. So let's move to patterns. What patterns we are going to explore today and the features? Loadable component, which will ensure that the page is fully loaded before returning and creating the objects. we will eliminate here the wait slips for waiting for the page load. The page objects model, which is encapsulating the UI interactions in specific classes, and tests reads the only business scenarios. And the domain-driven design, this will allow us to replicate the business scenarios in the code, and it will be more readable. So let's start from the loadable component and understand what is it and how we can use it. The loadable component actually solving timing problem. The pages that are asynchronous, like loading asynchronous, or they are rendering in a phases, or there is slow loadable parts, we can always make it wait, like make Selenium wait until everything will be ready before creating the objects. We'll eliminate all the thread slips for waiting for the pages, and all the components we can check independently whenever we need. It's a simple built-in class in the Selenium Java library, and whenever we need to use, we just extend from the loadable component class, and we are getting like opportunity to override the load and isLoaded functions, which will do the rest. So let's see how it works. Whenever we implemented it correctly, and whenever we have page objects, and we call a get method on the page objects, it checks if the page is loaded. And we are defining the condition when this page is loaded. When the condition is satisfied, the isLoaded will return true, and then it will return as the page. If it's not satisfied, it's automatically calling the load. The load has the URL of the page, and it's retries loading the page, and then again calling the isLoaded. If isLoaded is not satisfied, then only then it's throwing the exception. If it's satisfied after the refresh, then it returns the object. So basically, we remove all the sleeps, waits, and stuff. We don't need anymore the retry, and we don't need to retry the test because one time the load didn't happen. Because in this case, the page will be reloaded automatically. So whenever we have the implementation, it looks very simple. Whenever we want to check if the page is loaded, whenever we do .get on the created object, it will check is loaded, and will do all these tricks behind before creating the object. And the framework actually will create and return you an object only if the statement is satisfied. If the statement is not satisfied, it will not run through the rest of the code. Okay? So this is the example of the random login page with a loadable component. So we have email, password, and the button selectors. And we have a get URL, which is returning our URL, which is the base URL plus / the login. We have load, which is coming from the loadable component, and we have is loaded. So we are defining in the isLoaded method. We are saying like, return this page only if the submit button is visible. Let's say this is the condition that will say us that our page is ready to continue using. You can add more. You can say, return only if the email, password, like button are there. Only and only if they are there, then return me an object. If it's not there within the 10 seconds, the load method will be called, and it will do a driver get URL, which basically will refresh the page, and then will check it again if the button is there. If everything is satisfied, then the object will be created. If it will not be satisfied, then we will get the exception saying that it wasn't satisfied. So Not everything is taken as a page, because we're talking about the page is extending. We have an opportunity to use also slow loadable component from the same built-in package. And we are using a slow loadable component for the components. Yeah? Like the modal window, like there is a modal window and there is no URL actually. But we still can have a condition which will say that this modal window is ready or not. Okay? So the implementation is the same. We are saying, for example, in this case, the return the confirm dialog box object whenever I call get, only and only if the overlay is not empty, the element, and it's displayed. And when these two conditions are satisfied, only then the object will be returned. Please keep in mind that these loadable component checks will work only if you call .get on the page object. If you don't do a .get, it will not check it. So you may have a question like why we should have a case that we are not checking, and I will say there are some edge cases that we don't need to check. For example, in the advanced implementation, you should never log in from the UI. Why you need to go every time? Like you have 9,000 test cases, and 9,000 times you have to log in. Should you go to the login page and type username, password, click 9,000 times? And if it takes like 3 seconds, like 9,000 times multiplied 3 seconds, it takes huge amount of the time. In this case, it's usually all the authentications more or less have the same logic. It calls the API, the login, it generates the token, and it's placed in the browser storage, cookies, whatever the application does. We always can do that. We can execute the API, we can take the token, and we can get access to the cookies, local storage, place the token there, and then when we just open the page, it will be logged in. Then we will make it faster. For example, in this case, we don't need to call the get, because we just need to have the URL open so we can get access to the cookies. So we don't need to wait, and if it's the case, then we will save numerous of the time, minutes, not waiting until it's loaded, because we don't need to load to get the access to the storages. Let's move to page object, the topic that was touched forever, everybody knows, everybody use, like no one nowadays imagine the UI testing without page objects. But I will still go very fast through the ideas that I want to promote before moving forward. Single responsibility. Each page object owns exact one page or component. We should be feeling free to have the components also. Like every modal box can be a separate component as a page objects. No assertions in the pages, please. If you are doing the assertions in the pages, then you need to think twice. The page object returns a data or another page, next page. Assertion should go to the test only. Fluent API chaining. The actions returns a resulting page. This is very important thing in the page objects. Whenever after the login, it opens the dashboard. After the login method, please return the dashboard new page to do a chaining. And then whenever from the dashboard, you click a button which is going to the projects, just return the projects page. This will allow you to write less code and make it easily readable. Okay? And stability through the abstraction. Don't afraid of abstraction. Do it as much as you can. Just push it up to the base page. Do an extra layer to make sure that you are supporting your needs in an efficient way. So taking a look at the two simple examples without page objects. It's the same example from the beginning that I show, and with page object. You can see here, like, it's a simple test which is logging and checking that the welcome banner is visible. From the first code, if I read, I would say it opens the login, it finds the element, it sends the username, it finds the password, it sends the password, it clicks a button, yeah, and then doing some verification, waiting, etc. In a better implementation, if I read the code, I would say it's logging into the application with the admin credentials, arriving at the dashboard, and checking that the banner is there. It's easy, it's more business language, and even non-technical people, if they read the code, they can understand. Then why you need a BDD if you have a good implementation here. Okay, let's take a look at the base class. If in the base class we extend from the loadable component, all the children will be forced to override loaded and is loaded. So you can just extend from the loadable component the base page, and then by chaining, you will be forced every time to implement the is loaded and loaded in every page, and you will not forget ever. Okay, and here you can see, like, whenever I have the header, I'm returning the header component. Yeah, just get, and then it will check is loaded in the header to make sure that the header is there before returning it. Good. Domain-driven design in test automation. This is like universal language. Test code uses the same terminology, credentials, like cart, item, order summary, instead of, I don't know, input 1, input 2, like username 1, username 2, etc. Factories and the builders are helping us to build all the necessary data that we need before the test. And value objects are immutable domains whenever we can define all the test data and just read from there. And then bounded context, so group all your sections logically to make sure that it represents your application. For example, you have the application which has project, issues, tasks, etc. Make sure that in your page object you have the folders, projects, tasks, issues, etc. So just try to represent, group the same way as you would do whenever you do technical documentation in your about your application. Okay. So let's take a look at modeling test data. This is a case about like creating the order and making the order. So we are testing them. So we can define that we can have a standard order in one separate class, saying that whenever I ask to give me a standard order, you return me an order with this shipping address, cart item of keyboard, with the count and price, another item, etc., and then with the credit card data, etc. So in the code, whenever you need this data, you just call fixture standard, and it will actually give you all this data, and you will not be creating all this data in your test. And then, if we use the domain-driven language, page object model, and the loadable component all together, we will have the following view, like order summary page. To get there, we will get from the dashboard, we'll go to cart log, we'll add an item. Order items, we have the items in the fixture, which will mean there will be a keyboard and a mouse, and filling the shipping address, filling the payment, and then place the order. In the end, we can check that the summary is correct. Okay? So instead of hard coding for every test, we can have business language written features where we can reuse it. The same way we are showing in another example whenever we have the credentials saying like login with admin credentials. And we have a file when we keep the old credentials that we reuse. In a perfect world, it will be good if we create the users every time and delete them. But I know that in some cases it's not possible and we have to reuse some of the users. So let's, the benefits are visible in the comparison. So let's compare with the primitive way of the data creation and aggregated one. Whenever we don't do all this preparation work, then we'll say login and giving a username and a password, go to product, giving the product ID or something, add to the cart, and then hard coding again, shipping, and then address, fill payments, etc. So if we have the feature, it's nicer, it's cleaner, it's with the business language, it says what it actually does. Okay, so let's put all together all the stuff that we discussed today. So the first one, the loadable component. So whenever we call a get, it will check is loaded, and if it's satisfied, only then it will return us the page. As soon as the page is ready and returned, we can log in as an admin user. Then we will end up in the dashboard, and as you see, the login page is returning the dashboard object, which means that directly from there we can assign to the variable, and then from the dashboard continue all the steps. And all the next steps, the dashboards go to the catalog, which means this method is returning the catalog. The search for is already in the catalog, and all this chaining of the page objects allowing us to do all the flow with one line. And then assertions is easy in this case, so you just check all the stuff from UI and the data that you have. Okay? So this is the way that I would suggest. It's not like mandatory, but whenever you do the structure of your all pages and projects, just follow the same pattern. So whenever it's domain, like DDD pattern, like you are doing a modeling, features, builders, you keep them separate. Pages, base page. In a base page, you will have a base page and loadable component base page. And the components, you can have the components in the pages and already in authentication pages, catalog pages, checkout pages, etc. And then in the test, you can separate the same way, even having like the smoke, E28, etc. Okay, this is not like hard-coded, but this is one of the suggestions. In the real life, especially in a big project, it's more complex. This is one of the examples for the simple application that you can divide and then easily find whatever you need. Let's talk about the anti-patterns, what we should avoid doing. We should always avoid having a God page objects. The God page objects are the ones that are doing everything in one page object. We should always keep in mind that one page object should deal only with one page, and it should not do a cross-project call, like cross-page calls. It should be only working with one single page. Nothing is ideal in real life. Sometimes for just the one thing we deciding to put in one page, which is on your own responsibility and it's on your own experience. If you are sure that it's only one, then just make a decision based on that. But overall suggestion is to create a separate page and use the page. Assertions in the page objects shouldn't be acceptable. The page objects are not responsible for asserting anything. And thread slips should be not acceptable at all. You always think that, okay, it's 1 second, it's just nothing, it's 1 second, and then you put in a base page 1 second, which affects all the tests. In my experience, when I joined in one of the companies, there was a funny story, and the automation was running 7 days on a mobile, and it was running around 2,000 tests. And it was the question, like, for me, why it takes so long? Maybe like manual testing is better. The first thing what I did, I just searched in the code base the thread sleeps, and I find out that 46 hours the framework is sleeping. And this is just a direct calculation, because sometimes the same thread sleep affects more than one test, which multiplies everything. So saying that we are doing the automation, okay, it's sexy to say that we are doing the automation, but let's do it properly. The same is with the AI nowadays. So it's very important to use the AI. It's very important to be up to date with the technology, but try to be efficient. And one of the upcoming biggest issues in the industry will be the token efficiency. How efficient are you using the tokens? The same way as how efficient are you using the automation. Just saying that we have the automation, it doesn't mean that you have the automation. And of course, don't do this primitive way of the hard-coded test data, which makes complicated and ugly, non-readable, non-reusable. Just use the features and all this space stuff to make it nice. So before getting to the end, let's take on the observability and the reporting. Always we have a room for the improvement. To find a place where we need to improve, we need to measure something. The measurement will show us where we can do a better job. My suggestion is measure each time you load the page, and then take the reporting and see which pages are too lazy, taking too long, and also highlight some performance issue or implementation to make them faster to affect on the runtime. Track all the flaky tests. If there is a test that always passing from the second round, then you need to take it. Like if there is a test that mainly passing from second or third round, then you need to quarantine this test, you need to rework it before continuing. The test, retry is not to use for the same test to make sure that it's passing. We are doing a retry for unexpected behaviors, like network was gone, the server was crashed, I don't know, the Java memory, like out of memory, something happened, then something like this, like unexpected. Not like, okay, it's fine if it's not fair, like pass, it will pass on the retry. The screenshot, in my experience, the screenshots were always enough. I know some of people and some of you maybe like also the video recordings. I don't see the value because, again, here is efficiency. If I need to keep the terabytes of the video recordings, how my tests are running, just because once it will be helpful, okay, I don't see the return on investment, so that's why I don't like this recording, but the screenshots are fine on the failures only. And then you have a reporting, Allure, I don't know, there is a report portal or something that you build in-house using the AI. So just make sure that you have this historical data and you're just trying to understand how your test suite is behaving. And wrapping this up, in one of my jobs, maybe already like 7 years ago when I left the company, we had a Selenium-based framework, like 7-8 years ago. We had 8,000 test cases running in the suite within the 40 minutes, which is doable. It's requires some resources because you parallelize them, you run in parallel, etc. It doesn't mean that you have to go and do it in 40 minutes. It's because it's also request from the business. If the business fine with the 8 hours, then you should be fine. But if the business like pushing you to make it faster, then you get the resources, you should be able to do it. And if you design your framework well, making it faster will be easy if you have the resource. You just put the resource there, you make more parallel runs, and then you speed it up. We did, in one of the projects for the mobile farm, we did a in-house mobile farm with 40 devices. We were running around like 3,000 mobile tests within 2 hours, which was quite slow. But we just find an agreement between us and the business, like the development, that 2 hours are fine for now because we can run multiple time per day. But we have the architectural setup. If you need faster, just give me a phone. I will connect to the farm. There will be extra line. Like there was an automatic thread creation. Whenever you create connect a new phone, it was adding a new thread for the next run. Which means like you want a faster, just invest in the farm and that's all. And a challenge is that can come across while you are using loadable component, page chaining, etc. You should always think that is loaded is not free. Like it takes time to check, and sometimes maybe instead of pulling more frequently, you change your condition and make a big difference. Page chaining is complex, and if you chain it like cross pages, you can get lost. Whenever you're chaining and returning from one method to another page, just make sure that you keep the business logic later to not get lost in these chains. Component-based pages. Whenever it's a component, create the component page. Whenever it's page, create the page. Just don't afraid adding a more and slicing them because it will make it easier. But don't make it like, very like button level. If it's component, then just define what is the component for you and what is the page. The page is usually easy. Whenever the URL change, you can consider it as a page, but the component is a bit hard to define. Is it component or it's part of the page? And the DDD is also, it's good, but it needs the discipline. You need to be aware of the business logic and stuff to design all your architecture with the same design. And taking all over this, you are the provider of the architecture for the AI. You are the lead for the AI. AI is repeating your behavior, and if you know what you want, AI will create for you a better solution. It can accelerate the implementation, the pattern base, and you can be 10 times faster knowing what you want and using the AI as an assistant for you to add more capacity. And you are the guide. AI will be happily generate the test with the slips, with the hard-coded, because for the AI, the main job is to make it done. And you need to guard it to make sure that never use slips, use loadable components. So if you guide them well, you will get well-designed frameworks. That's it for now. I hope that it was quite useful or interesting, putting all this stuff together. And if you have, do we have time?
We have time for a couple of questions.
Okay,
Maybe
if you have a question, I will be super happy to answer. Otherwise, we can meet outside of the room. Let's go.
Hi.
Hi.
I was just wondering, the loadable page, is it also working for Appium?
Yes.
Nice.
We did it for Appium.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
It's Appium uses Selenium, so all the Selenium functionalities mainly are available there. For the Java version, it's built in, but for other languages, I don't know. I mean, for the Python, you can just replicate the class and that's all.
What are your thoughts on codifying some of these into AI skills?
Again?
What are your thoughts in codifying some of these into AI skills?
I never think about that, but that could be an option. Like, do you mean like creating some skills that will do all the stuff?
Or I'm still learning like how large a skill should be, or what kind of granularity they should be. But the gist is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course we can, and that's the market which is very fastly developing right now, like cloud skills. or Kiro specs. And I think very soon we can see a lot of skills in the market that we can reuse. But it's totally fine for like reusing the stuff. I'm super supportive in reusing the stuff. But I really do want to make sure that we understand what we are reusing. This is why I'm putting the stress of the architectural design and stuff. It doesn't mean that everybody of us should be great architect to do it, but knowing the context, knowing the opportunities, having the AI and the skills, it should be perfectly matching together to create the great product. This is the idea that I'm promoting.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Great. I think that takes us to the afternoon break. Of course, obviously, please come up and find Sargis if you have any further questions.
Good.
Thank
you very much. I will be here today and tomorrow. If there is any topic you want to discuss, we'll be happy to do that.